9 years ago, when I was 10 years old. I was in primary school, and I've never forgotten the moment my primary school teacher embarrassed me in front of the whole class. She said, "Joel, your mother thinks you're good at English, but you're not good at English, and you cannot afford not to be good at English." And the whole class went, "Ooh." And the girls started laughing, the boys started banging on the tables, and I just remember having to sit there and take it. And I went home and I told my mum, and my mum said, "Do you want me to talk to her?" I said, No, don't talk to her, don't talk to her. And she said, "Okay, work harder, prove her wrong." So I worked hard, and I got a level 5 in my English SATs, a level 5 in my maths SATs, a level 5 in my science SATs, and fast forward 5 years later, I got an A star in English literature, 5 A's, 4 B's, and 1 C. So, and so what actually started out being my worst subject ended up being my best subject. And I remember I was like, "Right, okay, Mom, I've got the qualifications, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to buy a mansion, I'm going to give you 1 bedroom in the mansion." I said all these things because I believed that my qualifications would have taken me wherever I wanted to go. And so I went out on my job search, applying for plenty of jobs. Sainsbury's rejected me, Tesco rejected me, Lidl rejected me, the manager at McDonald's threw my CV in the bin. Everywhere I applied rejected me for a job, just so I can get a part-time job so I can earn some money to pay for my drama school classes. And it was simply because I had no work experience. So I was saying to myself, how am I meant to get a job if no one's going to give me experience? What's the point of me having these qualifications if I can't do anything with them? So I thought, okay, what can I do to create my own job? And I was like, I had a flashback. I remembered when I was 14, I was private tutoring my younger cousin. He was severely dyslexic, he couldn't read, he couldn't write, he was on free school meals like myself, so couldn't afford £35 per hour for a private tutor. And I remember working with him at first and just being so surprised that he was in year 6 and he couldn't even read a sentence. And after working with him for a year, he jumped from level 3 to level 4. So that's almost like going from a D to a C. And I remembered that, and I was like, if I could do that at 14, what could a university student do? And I was like, yes, okay, I can tackle 2 problems and create a solution. And that's where I started Tutors United. So Tutors United is a university student-based tutoring service. We employ university students who come from disadvantaged and migrant backgrounds who are studying English and maths-based degrees, and provide affordable private tutoring to primary school pupils from disadvantaged and migrant backgrounds. And that's simply because I found that it's a lot easier for you to buy a better education depending on the amount of money that your parents earned, which isn't acceptable. So I remember I came up with the crazy idea and I was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen. So I went to UnLtd and I got a £2,000 grant, and I ran a pilot in Hackney, Islington. We provided private tutoring to over 80 primary school pupils, and saw 80% of them jump from level 3 to level 4 within 7 months. And we saw the rest of them jump from level 3 to a 5 within a year. So I was like, right, okay, these university students, they're killing it, it works, it actually works. And then it really just took off from there. A £2,000 grant from UnLtd, it turned into a £5,000 grant, and that turned into a £10,000 grant, and that turned into a £17,000 grant, and that turned into a £40,000 contract, and then more contracts. And now we have 2 full-time members of staff, and in September we're expanding into Nottingham and Derby. So in a short space of time, just from June 2012, I went from not having a job to sort of creating my own job, to sort of creating jobs for other people as well. And I was like, wow, okay. There was always a high in Tutors United. And there was always a new development, there was always something new going on, there was always some sort of progress being made. And I just remember thinking, yeah, okay, there were the hurdles such as not knowing how to open up a business bank account and know nothing about tax, national insurance, how to employ people. But if I'm being completely honest, that wasn't the major hurdle. Those technical things, those were the least of my worries. The most biggest hurdles were actually personal barriers. Anyone that knows me knows that my energy is sort of up here. I've sort of got a bit too much energy. I'm normally bouncing off the walls, making the people around me tired because I have too much energy. And I was always up here, and Tutors United was always up here. So I was always on a high. But anytime there was a barrier or a hurdle, my lows were so low. And to be completely honest, my lows were to the point where some days I wouldn't want to do it. Some days I would turn off my phone. Some days I wouldn't want to speak to anybody. Some days I'll feel like everyone is against me because I'm trying to do something good and no one wants to help me. Some days I want to tell everyone to shut up and leave me alone. There was times where I really just thought, why am I doing this? Why is everyone putting so much pressure on me to try to change the employment prospects and the education of other people when I can't even help myself? And the big eye-opener for me was when I got invited to Buckingham Palace. I remember I got invited to Buckingham Palace to go to meet Prince Charles. So the first person I told was my grandma. I said, Gran, I'm going to Buckingham Palace. I'm going to see Prince Charles. And she was like, oh, that is nice. I remember she said, oh, he is a nice boy. Me like Prince Charles. Tell him I say howdy. So I went to Buckingham Palace, told Uncle Charles that Grandma said hi. And I just remember being there, standing in Buckingham Palace and thinking, wow, my grandma worked so hard for so many years, and I've always known that all she wanted to do was see what Buckingham Palace looks like behind those big black gates. And I was there, and I didn't plan to get there. It happened by accident. And that was a really big eye-opener for me. It made me think, what if things did go to plan? What if I did get a job? What if McDonald's really did want me? What if my qualifications took me everywhere I wanted to go? What if I had the money to afford a private tutor? What if I wasn't on free school meals? What if my primary school teacher didn't embarrass me in front of the classroom? What if all that stuff didn't happen? And that really made me realize that some of the worst things that have ever happened to me actually being the best things that could ever happen to me. And it made me realize those low lows, those low times where I feel like I don't want to talk to anybody and I feel like I can just switch off from the whole world, maybe those aren't negatives. Maybe those are opportunities in the making. So if there's anything to take from me and me having too much energy in front of you guys, I just sort of want to really question you and think, to ask yourself, what is the best thing about the worst thing that's ever happened to you? What is the bad thing that's happened to you that you can really flip on its head and make work for you? How can you change it? I'm Joel Davis. Have a good evening.